So I wanted to take a minute, probably a few minutes, knowing me, to really kind of go into like a download on the events leading up to and including the Academy this past weekend. So it's pretty interesting because the whole thing was kind of a blur, like it just went by so quick, and it took a little bit of time to let it all sink in. So I wanted to really make sure I thought about everything before I said anything. I've been wanting to kind of just talk about it a little bit with everybody, but I really wanted to take some time to download. And yesterday it was interesting because Miguel told me he wanted to talk to me. So when I came into the office yesterday, after dropping Mike off at the airport, I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure what he was going to tell me. And so I went to his office and I sat down, and I was expecting actually a little bit more of kind of like a play-by-play, download, breakdown type deal where we just kind of went over some of the positives, some of the negatives, or not really negatives, but things to work on, that kind of thing. But I was actually really surprised because when I sat down with Miguel, he really didn't go into almost any of that stuff. We had a pretty interesting conversation that I don't think I've ever had a conversation like that with him, where, really all he did was tell me a little bit more about what he's seen in me through that event. And it was a pretty interesting conversation because he told me things that I never really expected to hear from him, probably ever. And I'll probably leave those between him and I. He knows what he said, but it really got to me in a good way. It was heartfelt and it was genuine. Like, there was no bullshit, there was no fluff about it. If you know Miguel, that's not really his style anyway. But one thing that he told me is that, he always held people to high expectations, and so what he's seen of me exceeded the expectations of whatever he has ever had for me. And that was kind of the turning point in that conversation that really got me. He teared up a little bit, putting him out there, and throwing him under the bus a little bit. But full disclaimer, so did I. It was just something that, it was a point of growth for him, I think, even to be able to have that type of a conversation. But if you know me, I'm not going to really take credit or full credit for anything that happened this past weekend, just because it's not my place. It's not my place to do that. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the people that are responsible for this event and everything that goes into it, leading up to and following the event, or events like this. First, really, this stuff wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be able to do anything like this or organize anything like this if it wasn't for my wife. Charlene, number one, she's probably the most understanding person when it comes to things like this, which goes a long way. Number two, she's been like the longest mentor I've ever had. If you were at the Academy, you understand a little bit more what I'm talking about. Times she wouldn't let me quit, times she wouldn't let me give up, times she's there to support me and love me and reassure me, and times where she gives me the tough love that I need to really push forward. But she does it all tactfully and with so much grace that I don't know if anybody out there can do something like that. Somebody told her once that knew me from my past, you're probably the only person that could make him human. And I think that's true, because I was, for lack of a better word, I was an asshole. I was pretty arrogant, but I wasn't confident in myself. And that's why I was like that. I severely lacked confidence. And so kind of the overall theme of this past weekend was taking action and truly giving your all to something, understanding that you're going to fail at times, but having the strength to continue to push through. And that's really what she's taught me through her battle with breast cancer, through watching me rise and fall consistently, and being there to guide me through those times. And the Academy is actually no different, to be honest with you. For so long after Miguel kind of tasked me with taking on the Academy and making it into what his vision originally was for it, and transforming it into the vision that I had for it, I just felt like every time I came away, like it it just wasn't working the way that I wanted it to. I felt like I was failing the company because I just wasn't able to make the difference of the impact that I wanted to. Not that it wasn't valuable, not that everybody that contributed didn't do something. It just didn't feel like it was there. And every time I wanted to get feedback from people, I would hear good things, and then I would hear the things that we needed to work on, and it just didn't feel like the growth was happening the way that we wanted it to. And at one point, I was just so burned out from trying to figure out how to make it better that I almost wanted to just not give up necessarily. I didn't want to do away with the academy, but I almost wanted to just let somebody else take it and see what they could do with it, maybe make it better. And Charlene actually sat me down and told me that, basically the same thing I tell people that I mentor, which is, you've come too far to only come this far, so to speak. And so you need to figure out what you need to do, and you need to just make it better. And it came at a time when I was just overwhelmed with business and life and so many things. And initially I was a little resistant. She made the suggestion initially about making it a 2-day academy instead of drawing it out. She made some really good points about it, and I just wasn't ready to hear it in the moment. And so I just took some time to digest it, and I realized she was right about it. I realized that was probably one of the best ideas that we could implement to really capitalize on the momentum and the energy of what was going on. And then I began to understand that it wasn't that the academy was flawed necessarily, so much as that we just needed to expand on the concept. And so I spoke to Miguel, and I let him know that that's the route we were going to go. And Miguel being Miguel, and having the trust in me and the faith in me that he has, he just said, okay, cool, go for it. Let me know what you need from me. And that's a lot, I think, sometimes to handle when somebody has that much faith in you. I talked about that in the academy. What happens when you're so persistent and so consistent that eventually you don't have people to prove wrong anymore, but you have people to prove right. And Charlene is somebody who's believed in me from day one and just always held me to a high standard, knowing full well what I'm capable of. And I didn't want to let her down. And so that was something that I decided that I was going to implement and put through. But really, where this all comes to life is understanding that my way and the things that I want to do are not necessarily the only way. And so, we have so many other people that contributed to the success, and every single one of them plays a different role and has played a different role in the growth of this company, and maybe they don't know. And so I wanted to take some time to really let everybody in on how that works. And so, Charlene, she's always the backbone. She always is the glue that holds everything together. And she's always behind the scenes, so nobody really sees that, but everybody sees that, if you know what I mean. If you know, you know. If you're around, you see it. And so I can't thank her enough for everything she's done, not only for me, but for the company, for what I'm able to do because of her and through her, really. I think that above all, the number one thing that keeps me going every day is my faith in God and my relationship to Christ that she's brought me to. And he works through her because she's probably the only person that can truly get to me and communicate with me in a way that pushes me forward. Going from there is, the man himself, Miguel. He trusts me and he puts faith in me, and that's a lot. That's a lot to bear. I've had conversations with him very similar to what I've had with Charlene, where I'm just not sure that I'm the person, that he wants or expects or needs, for this company sometimes. And it's not because I don't want to be, but it's because I value his vision so much, and I value what he does and what self-made is to so many people. And a while back, he sat me down and he basically gave me the choice. He said, I'm going to support you no matter what you decide to do, but I believe you're the person that's meant to be here, and I believe that you have everything within you to do what needs to be done. But if you don't believe that, then you need to let me know. And So I took some time and I thought about it, talked to Charlene about it, and I came back to him and I made him a promise, and I said that I will be what you need me to be, and I will give you what nobody else essentially can give you, and I'll do that because I believe that I can. And Miguel is somebody who's always held me accountable to what he sees in me, and he's never let me falter on that. He's always pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. And when we talked, one of the things he told me is that he has a respect for me. And that goes a long way from somebody like him, for him to actually respect me besides just have that genuine love for me that he has. And so he gives me full reign to do what I need to do and implement my ideas, whether they succeed or whether they fail. And there's been plenty of times where my ideas have fallen short, but he gives me that grace anyway. And he is somebody who will stand behind me and push me no matter what happens. In between him and Charlene, they truly believe in me, and that goes so far to really expand upon this whole concept, because without them believing in me, I wouldn't take the risks. I wouldn't do the things that I do, and that means the world to me. It's one of the first times in my life that I truly believe that I'm capable of doing more. And if you know anything about me, when I talk about being self-made, somebody asked me why I got self-made tattooed on my hands, and it goes beyond the company. It goes into the understanding that we all have to take responsibility for our lives. And I said this in the academy, but where you are in life is because of you. So if that's good, bad, or indifferent, that's your choice. If you don't like where you are, then you need to do something to change it. And so I've been working with my wife and I've been working with Miguel on truly believing in myself. And here's the great thing. Believing in yourself doesn't mean that you're alone. I mean, already I'm talking about how, you have Miguel and then you have Charlene, both two different types of people pushing me in two different types of ways. But it goes beyond that. It goes so far beyond that, because I have the support and the help of so many other people. And that's whether the company is successful or not, whether the academy is successful or not, does not rise and fall on my shoulders. And that's something that I can understand. So I want to talk briefly about each of the presenters and the value that they hold. And so I'm just going to go in order of the appearance basically in the academy, and that's Corey Jones. He came to me and he asked for some advice when he first started running our San Marcos location, and I gave him some, and we talked a little bit, but him and his wife did just such an amazing job of coming in and just owning what their concept was and what they wanted to do, and their facility has been successful. And when I see something like that, I think it's really great that somebody can take the initiative to do something and just make something their own. They're going to take what you say and they're going to work with it, but in the end, they're going to put their own spin on it. And he's done such a good job with that, and he's always been so proactive that not only is a great example for his trainers and a great example for the company, but him and I had only actually talked a few times in person, but I related to everything he said and everything he talked about, and I just thought it was amazing that at this point in his life, he's had that mindset. And if you were here in the academy and you heard him tell his story, as somebody who went from basically joining the military to get out of doing a presentation to somebody who's standing up in front of a room talking to people voluntarily, I just really think that that's something that showcases really well, and it's great for the company, and it's great for the trainers to have somebody like that to learn from. And so that's why I'm grateful that somebody like that would want to take part to the success of not only the company but the academy in and of itself. And then moving on to Chris Maxwell, in a lot of ways I've mentored Chris for the past several years, and he's just been he's somebody who I've watched grow so much, and watching him present was just amazing. I was just so impressed. One of the things that I talk to Chris about always is speaking with action versus telling me what he's going to do. a lot of us, we get super hyped up on our ideas and what we want to accomplish. And so we talk about it a lot. And even me, I'm guilty of this. I've done stuff like that and then not followed through. And so Maxwell and I had that conversation a while back. And when he decided to essentially go into Costa Mesa and take the director of operations position there, he told me he was going to show me. He told me he was going to show me through his actions. And he has. I mean, Maxwell has actually helped me to develop the academy ever since Costa Mesa. This is like the 4th or the 5th academy at this point. He's been there by my side, going through the curriculum, dialing things in, running things by him, running ideas by him. And so he's essentially been at my right hand for the academy through all of this. And I wanted to make sure he got that credit because I've watched his growth through things like this, and hands down, I think he's somebody that people have a lot to learn from, and that he has a true era of greatness that's yet to come, that's coming now. And I think that what I seen in the day that he presented showcased that extremely well. And then, Derek Luther, my trainer, he's somebody who he's such a great example of everything that the company is meant to be. And he's also a great example of somebody who, just like me, just like any of us, he doubts himself at times. And it was cool even to see his growth from day 1 to day 2, of the academy, and hear his concepts and his ideas come to light. And one of the things that the reasons I brought Derek was because, I spend actually, if you've been to any of the other academies, you've heard me talk about Derek a lot. And it's because he's such a great example of the concepts and the core curriculum that we teach. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to include him, because without even being trained on those things, he's already those things. And that's why I thought it would be so crucial to have him come in and be able to talk to all these trainers in here about those concepts that he truly embodies in every way. Not only that, but it's been great because as his client, I've come to experience and understand what it feels like to be on the other end of working with a truly successful trainer who not only walks the walk, but he implements and talks the talk of the things that we teach and how that feels on the other end. And so he's somebody who, without knowing, has shaped the influence of the company. And so I thought it only right that he be included. Moving on to Poilak. If you were here and if you know Poilak, he's just got this crazy awesome personality, and he's just such a cool dude. He's so well-rounded and well-educated, and Poilak always holds a special place in my heart because if you were here, you heard the story that I told about how we met, and he met me during the time when I was kind of a complete dick, and we've reconnected since then, and he's been, watching him has been a huge influence on me. And if you don't know, he's actually written a lot of articles for the company that are on the website, and he's just a great resource to learn from. So he's somebody that I don't spend as much of the day-to-day talking to, but I'm always watching. That's one thing Miguel taught me, is to always watch, always pay attention, always look at what other people are doing and analyze. And so I watch so many people in the company and watch what they do and watch what they're about and what they stand for. And Poilak is somebody who embodies so much of the culture of self-made without even knowing it. And he's always seeking knowledge. He's always looking to be better. He's always looking to do better. And I wanted to allow him the opportunity to not only grow into this role, but at the same time for other people to benefit from his personality and from what he does and what he brings to the table in regard to not only a trainer, but an educator. And I thought he did, extremely well coming in. His presentation was pretty fun, actually, and so it was great to see that type of personality. And then, a good friend of mine, Mike Trotter, he's come out a few times, and Mike actually is a pretty special individual, and he holds a pretty special place in my heart. He presented somewhere in the middle, and then he presented at the end, but I really wanted to think about what I was going to say about Mike, because Mike and I talk a lot. I mean, when he comes out, he always stays at my house, and I make him sleep in my son's bed. And he's this, I mean, if you were here, you know how big he is, but my son's bed is not the biggest bed in the world, but he does it out of love, you know, just because I could put him up in a hotel, but I'm a little selfish in the fact that I like hanging out with him, so he stays with me. Sorry, Mike. But no, you know, here's the thing. I met Mike several years ago, and if you were here in the academy, you heard kind of the story of how I met him, but he's somebody that is shaped in many ways, not only the person that I am, but what this academy has been, because he reminds me of what's out there. You know, he's not a self-made personal trainer. He's not a franchise owner. He's not somebody that has really been involved with self-made until I brought him into the academy and into our culture. But he consistently tells me what else is going on in the industry, and it reminds me of our obligation to be better and to do better. And you know, like for example, when we left the academy after day 1 and day 2, you know, on the drive home, Mike and I downloaded very tactfully just about everything that was said, everything that was done, the strategy behind how we present and talk about certain things, and making sure that we don't get so caught up in the event as a whole that we forget to deliver the information in a way that is usable for people. And not only is he one of the best speakers that I'm privileged to know, but he's somebody, again, and if you notice a common thing, he won't let me sell myself short. He holds me accountable to the standards that I believe in, and reminds me to own what it is that I'm doing, and to take responsibility for the opportunities that I have. And so he's somebody that he's just a real dude, man. He told a story in the academy where he said that he has the type of friends that say, you know, if he said to me today, hey, I don't want to do fitness anymore, I want to be an astronaut, that I would tell him, well, fuck it, let's find a spaceship and let's see how we do this. And the funny thing is, it's the same in reverse. You know, he's that to me. It's I've come to him, you know, plenty of times when I'm confused about something or in doubt about something, and he really helps me to put things in perspective from a place of not saying do this or do that, but he helps to guide my thoughts. And when I come to him about stuff for the academy or the curriculum that we're teaching, I mean, he's essentially helped me from all the way in the Midwest on late night calls and stuff to develop the curriculum that we have. And so without Mike, essentially the academy wouldn't be what it is. I mean, it would, not that it wouldn't be here, but it wouldn't be what it is without him. And I can't thank Mike enough for what the influence that he's had in my life, but also for the influence that he's had with the company without a lot of people actually knowing that. And I don't think I could do any of this without the people that were here presenting. Well, I know I couldn't do any of this without the people that were here. Up until now, they've all actually, in some way, shape, or form, been involved with the academy. But bringing them, you know, taking Charlene's advice, bringing everybody in here over a single weekend and just pouring into all of the trainers was so amazing. But here's the thing. As great as all of those people are, as amazing as Miguel, as amazing as my wife is, as amazing as all of the presenters were, there would be no academy without the people that show up. So, you know, the franchise owners that help spread the word and influence their trainers to be here, and the trainers that took it upon themselves to show up for, I mean, we need to do a better job of giving breaks and stuff, and that's something that Miguel and I talked about, my wife and I talked about, pretty much all the presenters unanimously agreed that in the next one we need to streamline the timelines a little bit better. But they came and they sat in on a Saturday for 8 hours and a Sunday for like 6-7 hours, and just not only gave their time but gave their attention. Everybody was engaged, everybody wanted to learn, everybody was here for the right reasons, and that to me is something that's just insane. You have a room packed. I mean, we had to get rid of the tables in our academy room just to put enough chairs to fit everybody, and all the people that came were engaged. All the people that came wanted every drop of knowledge, and that's just something you don't find all the time. And so to be in part of a company that has so many individuals within it that want to contribute, so many individuals on the outside that want to contribute, and so many individuals that want to be a part of it, in the students and the trainers, it's just amazing to me. And it's something that I can't even do it justice in this video, no matter how long it is. If you know me, I'm long-winded anyway. But to all of the instructors that came and participated, I'm so grateful, man, because, Miguel tasked me with doing this, but all of you guys contributed so much that there's no way that I could take credit for it. My wife, I just would never be anything or anywhere in this world without her. And Miguel, I mean, what I told him is he provides that platform, but over time, if you've watched him, if you watch his growth, he's leading by example. He practices what he preaches, and he's been like an older brother to me, and that's just something that is truly amazing from somebody that I'd never met up until the time I started working for him, and he's given me chance after chance after chance to go and be the best that I can be, and to allow me to have my dream fulfilled of being able to influence others positively, in a positive way. And here's the thing, I really haven't done anything yet. None of us have. We're stepping into something new. Like, as Derek would say, we're not done. Like, we're just getting started with this. Like, the Academy is just getting started. We just now have the format, and now we're going to expand on that. Now we're going to grow. Now we're going to do so many amazing things with this. And I want so badly for the people that have been such a part of it already, to continue being a part of it and to continue to add that influence. And so we're already looking at dates for like springtime. If you didn't get a chance to make it, if you're watching this, if you're crazy enough to sit and listen to me this whole time, we're looking at dates for springtime. There's so much yet to come. And, I'm just so blessed that I have the opportunity to be somebody who's able to have these contacts and organize, these other great individuals that have so many great concepts and great things to share with everybody, to add to a company that is just, what I'll say is I believe in this company, and I believe in what it does, and I believe in what it stands for at the end of the day. And that's why, at the end of the day, that's why Self-Made is tattooed on my hands, not because of the company, but because what it stands for. And, excuse me, because of the people within it, and because of what it gives to people in regard to opportunity. Self-Made will never make trainers great. Self-Made is going to give the opportunity to trainers who want to be great. Not that there's not other great trainers outside of Self-Made, not that it's the only thing out there that is offering opportunity. I'll never say that. What I will say is, regardless of what other people are doing, that's not my concern. The concern of me, Miguel, Charlene, the company, everybody within it, is that we make this company as great as we can. That's it. It's not about competing with other people. It's not about trying to prove people wrong. I think, at this point we've done that. It's about proving people right, giving people opportunities, and doing the best we can to be the best we can. And that's it. Period. End of story. In the Academy, I said, failure only happens when you cease putting action to your vision, right? And our vision is there, and it's continuing to grow, and we're going to continue to put action to it, because no matter what, at the end of the day, this company is something that gives opportunity to so many people, and we want to continue to do that wherever we can, however we can. Continue to educate people and continue to give to others, and do what we said in the Academy, which is be a leader, not by telling people what to do, but by serving the people who are willing to follow. And that's what the Academy is all about, is serving others, serving the trainers that are here to learn. And by serving others, we have to grow, we have to get better. It's great to celebrate the win and realize that this last weekend was great in many ways, but for all of us to get better, for all of us to do better, for all of us to come together to be something better each and every single time. So for those of you that came, if you're still watching, appreciate you. For those of you that didn't come, that want to come, we're looking at dates, like I said, in springtime, and we're looking to do it bigger. We're looking to do it better. We have so many great ideas. At the end of the day, I'm just grateful for all of you and thankful for all of you. Miguel, Charlene, all my presenters, all the franchise owners that sent their people, all the trainers that showed up. I love you guys. Thank you so much, and God bless.